First of all, let's be clear. Chief Keef is only 16, so don't be in. Oh, you're not? Why does everybody say you're only 16 years old?
They say what they want to say.
How old are you?
300.
Chief Keef, without a doubt, has one of the most influential rap artists ever, pioneering drill music. With catchy and antagonizing songs about their treacherous life on the south side of Chicago, a then 16-year-old Chief Keef will land features with Kanye and 50 Cent that would inspire an entire wave of Chicago music that took over the entire world. But Chief Keef would be an anomaly, because unlike the many rappers that came after him and were killed or went to jail, Sosa would be one of the few rappers that moved out the burbs and left Chirac. Now I'm Jared the Star, and today we're talking about Chief Keef barely left Chicago, infamously known as Chirac. Now make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and hit that post notification bell. I appreciate it a lot.
Like the streets and everything that came with that, it hit me in like a whole, especially in Chicago. So when I moved to LA, I kind of like started getting better as a person type shit.
Yeah.
For me to come to LA to actually grow out of what I was and who I was and how I was. You know, now I'm even talking like you couldn't get me to fucking talk in an interview. I'll tell your ass, how are you? 300. Yeah, no. I ain't really speaking. I'm not being vocal.
Chief Keef, born Keith Kozar on August 15, 1995, emerged from Chicago's South Side, growing up in the Parkway Gardens, infamously known as O Block. Now, Keef was immersed in a violent environment dominated by the Black Disciple Street Gang, and even if you look back at older pictures of Keef, you'll see him and Vaughn as kids, which is crazy because both of them came from the same hood and both became very successful. Sosa was raised primarily by his grandmother, and Keef began rapping at the early age of 5, using his mother's karaoke machine to record his early musical sound. Like many individuals from the inner cities of America, Sosa lost his own brother and so many friends to the streets that it made him so numb to death and needed a way to express himself.
Oh, yeah. And you lost a lot of friends to violence, huh? Mention some of the names. Let's give them a space right now that you've lost to violence.
My cousin, Bud, my brother, Cap, Couple, Marvin, OD, White, Platoon, Keita, Lil Mo. There's a lot of guys.
The birth of drill music in the early 2010s marked a significant shift in the hip-hop landscape. Characterized by its aggressive lyrics, dark synths, and booming 808 drums, drill music offered a raw and unfiltered glimpse into the harsh realities of Chicago street life. The genre named itself, a slang term for kill, reflects the often violent themes prevalent in its lyrics.
A fuck nigga, that's that shit I don't like. Nah. A snitch nigga, that's that shit I don't like. Nah.
Keef Keef's breakout song I Don't Like, released in 2012, and catapulted him to national fame. Now the track, with its menacing beat and confrontational lyrics, quickly became an anthem for troubled youth. With the song's chorus being a fuck nigga, that's the shit I don't like, it became a cultural touchstone encapsulating the defined spirit of drill music. Although many people think that there was a deeper meaning towards the song, Sosa kept it 100 about the true meaning of the song.
Is it more the history behind Don't Like?
I mean, don't like, they think I was mad or some shit like that, but I wasn't even mad. It was just about somebody came and told me and said, yeah, somebody said this, and I'm like, I don't like that shit.
Yeah.
As soon as they said that, I made a song.
The impact of I Don't Like on hip-hop landscape was immediate and far-reaching. Keef made it clear he does like people who snitch or fake people because that goes against his moral codes that he got from the street. Now, the success of I Don't Like not only put Chief Keef on the map, but also brought widespread attention to the Chicago drill scene. The track's raw energy and unapologetic portrayal of street life resonated with listeners far beyond Chicago city limits, with individuals from London, New York, and Philadelphia later taking inspiration. Other influential drill artists would emerge after Sosa, including G Herbo, Lil Durk, and King Von. Now these artists, along with Sosa, helped solidify drill as a dominant force in contemporary hip-hop. Chief Keef's rising fame and notoriety led to a major record deal with Interscope Records, reportedly worth up to $6 million. This deal was signed when Chief Keef was just 17 years old, requiring him to release 3 albums, particularly his breakout 2012 album, Finally Rich, and a separate agreement for his own record label, Glory Boys Entertainment. This deal was orchestrated by Larry Jackson, the A&R at Interscope Records, who had even worked with Apple Music and started his own company Gamma later on. However, Sosa's fame came with great danger, as according to Jackson, shortly after signing Sosa, a good FBI friend of him would alert him that Chief Keef was on an FBI watch list with a $50,000 bounty on his head, highlighting the very real threats to his life because his ops wanted to kill him because he was rich.
With Chief Keef, it wasn't just a vision. It was... This is the first time I've ever told this story, but it was getting a call from a friend of mine who was in touch with the FBI, who told me that this kid was on a watch list, who then also subsequently called me back and told me that there's a $50,000 hit out on this kid, and you may want to do something about it. And that's not a job of like,
Right.
you know, from a traditional vocational perspective of an A&R
That
executive.
wasn't an A&R class.
Is this before the contract is signed or after?
After. He had gotten into some trouble. I personally wrote a letter to the judge. My letter was effective and persuasive. It kept him out of jail. I was able to, at that point, all of this coincided with a very small period of time. Letter to the judge, his potential incarceration.
And to be clear, he was 16, 17 years old at this point in Chicago.
So I kind of stepped up as in a father figure role. So it's so much deeper than, let me sign this guy because everybody wants him and there's a bidding war and the single and the album and the video. Like, no, bro. No, this was so much deeper in terms of a vision for not just the music,
For his life.
and for his life.
Yeah.
And we're close to this day still because of that. And my greatest achievement with respect to signing him and Finally Rich to Me, which came out, I think in 2012, really established drill, established what music is today for rap. I'm sure you both would agree. And what we did with Finally Rich, and I went in and picked the songs for the album. I came up with the intro, came up with the interludes. I mixed the album with Chris Chaney. I sequenced the album, blah, blah, blah. Because the most important thing to me is that he's still alive.
And not in prison.
And not in prison.
And not facing prison, as far as we know.
And that, to me, is A&R. That, to me, is A&R. That's like giving a so that's one version of it.
The rise of drill music in Chicago brought in a dark cloud that reflected the city's ongoing struggles with gang violence. In Chicago, many young teenagers were being murdered with the police not even trying to solve the murder because there was so many murders. Rather than them simply trying to do their job, they simply waited for the gang members to retaliate, hoping that they would eliminate themselves. The raw and unfiltered lyrics of drill music often painted a grim picture of life on the south side of Chicago, detailing the violence, the drug dealing, and the gang robberies with the Chirac savages. But thinking about Chicago drill, it's hard to skip past the death of Tuka, a 15-year-old boy who was killed at a bus stop, who became the biggest mockery and pack in all of Chicago to Lil Durk, King Von, and Chief Keef through their rap lyrics. The case of Lil Jojo comes to mind as a serious example of how drill music became intertwined with Chicago's gang conflict. In 2012, the 18-year-old rapper released the song 300K. Better known as BDK. A track that directly dissed black disabled gang members like Lil Reese, Lil Durk, and of course, Chief Keef. The song title itself was a bit provoking, with the K standing for killer, aimed at Keef's 300 crew. But tragically, just months after the song's release, Lil Jojo was killed in a drive-by shooting, an event that drew national attention to Chicago's drill scene and its connection to street violence. Chief Keef's decision to leave Chicago was a culmination of escalating threats on his life and a complex web of gang politics that ultimately forced him to leave his hometown. As his fame grew, so did the danger associated with his presence in Chicago. 600 Breezy, a well-known associate of Sosa, would explain that Sosa faced increased hostility from not only his rival gang members, but his own guys. Now, the turning point came when Chief Keef allegedly failed to produce financial assistance and bail a fellow gang member out, Trey 5, out of jail.
He left on bad terms with some of his own people. So why would I go back to a place where I know most people love me, but then I got the police that hate me because they feel like I increased the violence, and probably these mayors and governors or whatever, they'll do some weird shit and try to get that nigga locked up for a long time or whatever. Or then why would I go back around niggas that I can't trust because they feel like they supposed to have my position or the same amount of money as me, or they feel like I'm supposed to be feeding them or taking care of them or whatever. It's too much. It's too much. He did the best thing that he could have ever did for himself and his career, was move the fuck out of there and never look back.
Chief Keef was in a strange position because as a breadwinner, he had all the money, and his entire gang's problem became his own problem. So then it became his own responsibility to bail his guys out of jail and pay for their lawyer fees, but it's impossible to save everyone. This perceived betrayal of Keef not wanting to bail a certain member led to retaliatory action when gang members allegedly robbed Chief Keef for his chain, sealing a significant loss of the support from his own friends. One Redditor would say, so Sosa has to bond out every dude from O Block and 300 that gets locked up for a stupid crime. Sounds like they need to figure out how to make their own money so when they get put in that position, they can have bond money for themselves instead of relying on Sosa. To which another person responded, not everyone, but anyone you could. That's what you do when you in a gang, dude. His homies, his gang, and his block were the biggest factor for him to blow up. You gotta pay what you owe, not run away when you touch some money. Now, the lack of protection and increased threat to his life ultimately forced Chief Keef to make the difficult decision to leave Chicago in 2014. After being evicted from his Highland Park home, he relocated to Chicago. Now, this move was not just about escaping violence, but also about personal career development and growth. In an interview with Billboard, Chief Keef reflected on his decision to move out of Chicago. "I got away from all the unnecessary trouble. It's better out here in LA than it is in Chicago because I got in so much trouble. I'm just out here living, and I think it improved me. It changed me and inspired me to go somewhere bigger." The impact of this move on Chief Keef's career and personal life was significant, as in Los Angeles, he found a quieter environment that allowed him to focus more on the music and explore new interests. He began indulging in art collecting, discovering the paintings of the art teacher Bill the Butcher while in rehab. Now, despite the physical absence of Chicago, Chief Keef's influence on the Joe culture remains very strong, as he continued to release music and collaborate with other artists, maintaining his status as a pioneer of the genre. His move to Los Angeles allowed him to experiment new sounds and styles and evolve in his music, all while staying true to his drill roots. Now make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and hit that post notification bell. For starting the new year off right, make sure you lock in with me, Jared Star, we going up.